One.
This is my final presentation for my short film called Detect. So why did I decide on this idea? Basically, one of the main reasons was practicality. The way I'd arranged it is that the location would be my house, and the actors that I had in mind all live within like 5 miles of me, so that was easy, and the props are quite minimal and I was able to source them from my house. It's got a strong link to the genre, obviously a crime is committed and solved. It had the best story compared to my other ideas. I think the others were a bit, hard to execute. Filming time, it could all be filmed in one hit. This was mainly for continuity, but it was all based in one evening, so it would just be easier. It was also experimental, like I wanted to show off some of my skills, and I think there were some shots that I had in mind and some editing ideas that I could have done to make it a lot better. What were my influences? Now, I like to watch a lot of crime shows anyway, but the main ones that I watched in the build up to this was Lewis, Midsomer Murders and NCIS. They're all very detective based, and obviously I've got that sort of aspect within mine. Crime films, Fargo and Chinatown, these are just great films in general, they're really well shot and stuff, so I took that from them. And the writers, Agatha Christie and Arthur Conan Doyle, obviously Agatha Christie wrote And Then There Were None, and Arthur Conan Doyle wrote Sherlock Holmes. How did my research contribute to my project? The script was like the main thing that I got out of my research, mainly because a lot of the research I did was, what critics and writers look for in crime entertainment. So obviously I took what they said and put it into my script. Characters, again, very similar to the script. I took what they said and put it into it. Shot types was primary because I reviewed short films, so I looked at the way they shot their stuff and then translated it into mine. My target audience, again, primary because I conducted a survey and a focus group just to sort of see what sort of people I'd be attracting. And obviously content is the whole thing, so primary and secondary helped me with that. How did my planning and pre-production contribute to my project? Efficiency. Having it planned really helped with it to run smoothly, because if I hadn't have planned it, I wouldn't have done it in the time frame that I managed to do it in. Good results, again, that's down to planning and pre-production. Because I planned and I really structured everything, like with my storyboard, I storyboarded every single shot, and that really helped in the long run. Shot perfecting, again, storyboards and shot lists, just making sure I had everything. Time management, planning, I did a production schedule at the start of my project just to make sure that I did it within the deadline. And professionalism, again, pre-production helps it make it a professional project. What were my constraints and contingencies? Actors' availability was a constraint, but we had a group chat, so we just, we messaged, said, can everyone do this date? If we couldn't, we change it, but we did that well in advance. Lines being learned, but I conducted rehearsals with a few cast members, and I also handed out scripts well in advance, so that there was no excuse really not to know your lines. There was a dog on set, but cast and crew were warned prior to filming, so this wasn't an issue. Reshoots would not be possible because a lot of my actors are doing their GCSEs, so I just checked footage after filming it. And lighting, I thought it was going to be too dark, so I filmed at sort of 6 o'clock-ish, but it was actually too light, but it wasn't such a bad thing. The current state of my project, research is completely done, pre-production and planning is completely done, filming's done, edit done, director's commentary's done. The only thing that I have left to do is my evaluation. Satisfaction level of the project, I'm really pleased with the research and pre-production and planning. Filming, I'm not amazingly pleased with it because there were a few shots that I was kind of unhappy with but I didn't notice. So that obviously translates into editing. I think if those shots would have been fine, I would have been completely happy with my edit because some of the stuff I've done I'm really pleased with. And director's commentary, I'm really pleased with that as well. Literally just the evaluation left and just final checks to make sure I've got everything. That's everything. I made a trailer of my piece just to give you a sneak peek of what to expect. There's no sound. There's something Okay, some music playing. There we go.
You guys met Daisy?
Water party? You guys can pick a big name.
Where the hell did you get cocaine? Tom, stop!
You're so boring. No, Tom, get out of my face!
That's my presentation.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much, Emily. Right. Just a few things. Okay. You said that there were some shots and ideas that you had that you didn't manage to pull off or record or whatever. Okay. What were those?
One of the main ones was I was planning to do a Zolly for when one of the characters realised who committed the crime.
Yeah.
And I think I tried for about an hour to get it, but the depth of field, it just wasn't working. But in the end it came out alright because there's a bit of there's a little bit of it, but it's a good zoom. So.
Right.
And also there were some shots where I didn't notice the actors were laughing during filming, so obviously, but the problem is I can't reshoot because my actors are in the midst of their GCSEs, so.
Right. Okay. Just go back to your research, okay, and you said you looked at some advice that you were given online to do with various techniques that were being used, okay. So what was some decent advice that you were given that you can remember?
Some of the decent advice was to really build on your characters and make sure your characters are interesting, but also to make them not necessarily likeable. Just make them really intriguing, because then you'll pull the audience in.
And how did you manage to do that? Let's just choose one of your characters.
Obviously Tom, who is the one that gets killed, he's really horrible to everyone basically, and he obviously brings cocaine, he is rude to his friend about being the captain of the football team, and just generally he's quite odd in the way he behaves with them.
Right, okay. I liked when you talk about how you managed to keep good communications up with the rest of your cast and crew, and I like the whole idea of group chat, okay, which is sort of very modern way of actually keeping in touch with people. Did everyone use that quite a lot, or?
It was mainly for me to tell people things,
Right.
and just say, well, this is what we're going to do, and also my brother delivered the scripts to some other people, and we just made sure that they got the scripts and stuff, and also we put in dates that people could film, well, that we were planning to film, and then everyone's replied whether they could do that date or not.
Right. And at the very beginning, did you tell everybody that this is the way we're going to communicate?
Yeah.
Through the group chat?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And did you use any of the other pre-production work? Did you just use that yourself, or did you share that out amongst your other cast and crew?
Anyone could use it.
Yeah.
So-
And how did you give them those by hand, or did you sort of email them
By hand.
by hand? Okay. And you did some rehearsals as well?
Yes, with a few cast members that I could get, such as Chloe and my brother. We just went through the script a couple of times, and before, when the others arrived on the day of filming, we actually rehearsed a couple of the scenes just to make sure that they did it the way that I envisioned.
Right. Okay. Good. When you rehearsed the scenes, it was a talk. You talked it through. They said their lines, etc. Did you do any of filming at that stage?
No.
Okay. Because you said that you haven't, because of the availability of actors, you haven't got the ability to get them to come back and do some reshoots. Okay. So therefore, it's one of the things you might have done was let's do some shoots early on, even if it's not with the real actors,
Yeah.
with other people, and you know, just work that all out, okay, so that whenever they come in, you're a lot clearer about how the scene's going to unfold and the shots that you're going to take.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's always an issue whenever you know that you can't get them back, and because of the GCSEs, you cannot get them back, obviously, because that's what they're doing at the minute. Was there anything that you'd really like to reshoot?
Yeah, there is a couple. There's ones where they're standing in front of a window and the lighting really affects it. It wouldn't be such an issue because it's actually quite nice as a silhouette, but I switch between the shot to another one, so it's very obvious the change in light, so I would like to change that. And there was a scene where they're supposed to be quite upset, but they didn't really look it, and one of them was laughing, so it doesn't look completely accurate. I did manage to do some reshoots though with one of the actors as my brother.
Right.
So there was a couple shots I wasn't really happy with him, so I just reshot them.
Okay. Is there anything that you can do with the editing, because you've still got a couple of weeks left, that you might be able to edit out some of those blips that I think, you know, where people are laughing and things like that?
I could try. I've actually edited out a lot of it already because there was a lot more. There's just one that's really obvious, and I wanted it to be a continuous shot, and it would look really unnatural if it wasn't, because I had nothing to cut to. So.
Because you've got a couple of weeks left, okay, it is always good sometimes just to leave it, put it to one side, okay, and then leave it for a day and then come back to it fresh again, okay, and basically you're coming at it from a fresh pair of eyes. Sometimes if you're watching it and you're looking at it so intensely, you miss the obvious things because you know the script so well and you know what you filmed so well. Just looking at the trailer, I like the idea of you creating the trailer for it, and that's what we saw today. And that was quite interesting. There were a couple of things that I'd just like to point out. Okay, one is the color correction, which I think we talked about before.
Yeah.
Okay, that's still something that you can do something about. Okay, and that's a little bit jarring, but it's an easy fix. It's a little bit time consuming, but you've got that time to do that. And also, I don't know if this is the case in your main film or whether it was just the trailer, but there seems to be a deinterlacing problem. If you notice where the lines, because the video is made up of lines, okay, and you notice that occasionally they just sort of do that sort of jarring thing,
That's just an issue with PowerPoint.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the
Okay, it
videos
doesn't-
on PowerPoint do that, but
Right,
it
okay.
doesn't in the actual thing.
Right, okay, that's fine. Okay, so yeah, you've got a couple of weeks, just now spend the time on the edit, seeing how you can fine tune it, look at the colour grading of it, etc. If there's any way that you can edit out some of those things that you think, yeah, I can't really live with those things. Sometimes you think, oh, I can do it myself, I can live with those things because you're a director, but put yourself in the shoes of the audience. Will an audience member, will they pick up on that, and will that put them off? Will that jar? Okay, in which case, think about some way of doing something about it. Okay? But very good presentation, thank you very much.